Hello, Indiana. Thank you for tuning in to Mommy and Me. Today we'll be discussing breastfeeding and how important it is for our children. Today we have special guest.
Ryan Kareem, registered nurse and lactation consultant.
Ambrielle Lasley, lactation consultant.
And today I'm gonna ask them a few questions about how important it is to breastfeed. I actually got the opportunity to work with Ryan. She helped me breastfeed this little young lady right here when there was a struggle, and everything that I thought was hard, she thought was normal. So I'm appreciative of her, and I just want to ask you a few questions. Um, why is breastfeeding so important?
Ooh, that is a loaded question. Breastfeeding, there's a myriad of reasons that why breastfeeding is important. Breastfeeding is important not just for baby, but also for mom. So we always hear about all the benefits that breastfeeding has for babies, some of which are breastfeeding can decrease the risk of childhood obesity, decrease the risk of ear infections and childhood illnesses, stomach issues, which are classic common issues for toddlers in particular because they put everything in their mouth. But a lot of the benefits are for moms too. There's a recent study that says that breastfeeding decreases the risk of heart disease, which is huge for women because it's one of the top killers of women, and Black women in particular. Breastfeeding can also decrease the risk of cancers like breast cancer and ovarian cancer. Breastfeeding can decrease the risk of moms becoming type 2 diabetic. So there's lots and lots of benefits of breastfeeding. Also, breastfeeding is green.
Yes.
So it's good for the
Eco-friendly.
environment. Yeah. So there are lots of benefits for breastfeeding.
Yep.
So, Ambrielle, what is the link between nursing and cancer?
Sure. So, more specifically, what Ryan was talking about when we talk about ovarian and breast cancer, we always encourage moms to breastfeed, right? Whatever their goal is, whatever they have in mind as far as their goals. But when we talk about decreasing the chances of certain cancers, we're getting into the extended breastfeeding. So, more than 4 months, the 6 months, the 12 months. And it's typically for each year that you breastfeed, you kind of decrease your chance between 10 to 20% of those certain cancers. So when you really start to think about, those moms who breastfeed for those extended periods, you really start to decrease your chances. And it's for each child. So overall, so if you breastfed, one child for 1 year and you breastfed another child for 18 months, each time you do those extended times of breastfeeding, you're decreasing your chances. You're increasing that percentage that you won't be susceptible to breast cancer or ovarian cancer. Because what happens is, especially when we get pregnant, our cycle stops, right? And so our estrogen isn't being produced and being constantly put into our bodies for those hormonal periods. So you think when you are pregnant and then when you are exclusively breastfeeding as well, you don't have a cycle and estrogen isn't being constantly produced in your body. So the longer that you're exclusively breastfeeding, the longer you are, the more you are increasing your chances, or I should say, decreasing your chances of breast cancer or ovarian cancer.
And so I have another question about culturally. So culturally in the African American community, breastfeeding is like kind of taboo.
Yeah.
So what do you think that you guys as a whole and even me are, and mothers who nurse, what could we do to change the narrative of that being a taboo?
Mm-hmm.
I would say trying to tap into the resources and create a village. I know for myself, I wasn't breastfed, and it wasn't something that was talked about. It wasn't something that we really did. As I found out later, some of my family said, "Oh yeah, I breastfed and I did this," but I think a lot of times we keep it a secret. We think that because we don't see a lot of other women that look like us that are doing it. So I would say is being that person to say it's okay to do this and being proud of it. And you don't necessarily have to do it without a cover, but being, in a space and having your baby and feeding your baby and having that freedom to do that. I think it's just important because it helps to show other people that it is okay and it's acceptable. Another thing is when you see a mom, just be like, you're doing a great job or awesome. Because just that little bit sometimes boost their spirit because maybe they left from home or somebody was shaming them for breastfeeding in public, and you just come by and just say, good job, or, oh, how was nursing going? Even just those simple things I think help.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. And it's so funny because two thoughts I have right now. But I just saw a mom. We were in the mall. I was shopping for my daughters the other day, and she was like sitting on a bench in the mall quietly. And I saw her. I knew she was nursing because I recognized nursing. But I always struggle between do I say something? Is she gonna think I'm a stalker? Why are you watching me nurse? I be so proud of moms, especially like a young black mother.
Yes.
And she was a young black mother. She was just quietly sitting on the bench nursing her baby. And so I just kind of gave her a nice little nod and kind of said, keep going. But it's so funny because it embarrasses my daughters. So anyway. But the other thing is that to go ahead and continue talking about the culture of breastfeeding within the Black community, my story is completely different. I come from a breastfeeding family. So for me, there was never a question about whether I was going to breastfeed or how I was going to feed my baby because it's the way that I saw most of the children in my family be fed. But it wasn't until I had my own children and my friends and other women in my community started having children. They started coming to me with their questions and concerns. And this was before I was a nurse, before I was a lactation consultant. And they would come to me with their questions about breastfeeding. And I was like, I don't know. I just nurse. I don't know. And so that's what opened my eyes to that culture of breastfeeding in the Black community that says that we don't breastfeed.
Right.
And there's so many stigmas attached to it. I mean, we can go back to wet nursing and how Black women were forced to breastfeed children who weren't their own while their own children may have very well starved. And so that's embedded in our DNA. And so when you think about that trauma, the history, that trauma that's attached to breastfeeding for Black women, that's one reason that it could be a challenge. There's also the challenge, like you said, we don't typically celebrate pregnancy within the Black community. It doesn't matter if you're young, if you're old, if you're single, if you're married, if you're well-to-do, if you're poor. You tell somebody you're pregnant, very rarely, she's kissing you, very rarely do you get a congratulations when you share that information with even your family?
Yes.
Right? There's a lot of stigma attached to childbirth and having children in this country because we know the trauma that our children are going to experience in this country. So if we're not celebrating having children, it's really difficult to celebrate breastfeeding.
I would agree.
And within our community.
So before we even get to the steps of actually nursing our children, there are people in place that help, with the process, like your doctors and your nurses and your lactation nurses and things like that. So, but my question is, what exactly is a doula? And how can a doula be effective in this process of birth and nursing and parenting as a whole?
Yeah, doulas are an integral part of the care team. I think that doula is a new kind of coin phrase that might even be starting to kind of be trendy right now, talking about doula, wanting a doula, but it's a good trend. It's like a bandwagon that you kind of want to be on because doulas are not healthcare professionals. They are not providers of care, but they are supporters of the mom and of the family, mom and dad. And so a doula can visit with a mom and help her create a birth plan prenatally. She can help her create meal plans and help her figure out the life, mom life balance to figure out how she's going to integrate this new living tiny human into her life. And then she supports her through the labor process as well. So she can, whatever mom's birth plan is, of course, the ideal birth plan would be to have no medication, to have no epidural. And so the doula can certainly help support the mom to reach that goal. And then to be there at the bedside to help mom initiate skin to skin and then initiate breastfeeding. Doulas are capable of doing that. There's all kinds of doulas, though. There's also bereavement doulas who can be present if a mom was to experience a loss and to kind of help her get through that grieving period. But doulas are certainly important, as to getting started with breastfeeding. And they're postpartum doulas too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, they can kind of come to your house after you have the baby to help you continue breastfeeding. Because sometimes breastfeeding gets off to a good start and then you get home and you're like, uh-oh.
Didn't realize that.
Yeah, I know that.
Hello, my name is Crystal Hines of the Inner Beauty Program, where I'm the founder and president. We have been enriching and inspiring and empowering youth ages 8 to 18 since 2002. Our original purpose of the program is to have girls focus on their inner attributes in a world where the outer appearance is the focal point. We have a dynamic staff of women who are here to provide all types of programming for your young ladies, including life coaching, mentoring, tutoring, boot camps, and special events. Please stay connected with us through our website, myinnerbeautyprogram.org, our Facebook page, Inner Beauty Program Inc., and our mobile app, Inner Beauty. Thank you.
The civil justice system in the United States was developed intentionally by our founding fathers. They knew and had the wisdom to foresee that individuals would need protection from each other and from their government. They also saw and foresaw a day when they would need protection from a corporate entity, the new corporate citizen. Here at Ramey and Haley, we bring passion and experience to every file we open, every client for whom we become their lawyer.
Curly Girl Bible, your authority, guide, and blueprint to loving your curly hair, written by Charlotte D. Sloan. This book is a gem. Tired of wasting money on products you never use? Create your own personal hair care blueprint, complete with understanding of your hair type and hair condition, along with the pros and cons for your specific hair type. The Curly Girl Bible is your solution. Curly hair does not have to be misunderstood any longer. Get your copy of the Curly Girl Bible on Amazon. For more info, visit curlygirlbible.com.
This is Pastor Derek Miller, and I'm so excited about introducing you to the fruitful ministry here at Bethesda Temple Southeast Campus. I'm here with my lovely wife, Sister Valerie Miller.
Bethesda Temple Southeast Campus is a community church with the community at heart.
In 2008, I began collaborating with my bishop, Roysteen Fields Sr., on some outreach initiatives on the southeast side of Indianapolis at Bethel Park Community Center. It was here where we established Teen Nights, and the Any Youth Achievers College Tour program was also birthed out of this initiative. God saw fit for next level growth, and in 2015, the Lord opened a major door for Bethesda Temple Southeast Campus.
The mission of Bethesda Temple Southeast Campus is to dedicate our lives to proclaim the gospel message of our Lord Savior Jesus Christ through our witness, loving God's people through our service, and strengthening communities through spiritually sound doctrine.
Bethesda Temple Southeast Campus offers an effective children's church ministry with curriculum-based instruction. We also offer men, women, and teens ministries. We can be reached at 317-941-6143. Or you can find us on the World Wide Web, www.btacsouth.org.
Or download our mobile app, Bethesda South, via Google Play or the App Store.
Bethesda Temple Southeast Campus, a place of compassion,
a place of love,
a place where God is.
Buttons and Bows Nail and Hair Salon welcomes you to our new location at 6233 Allisonville Road, where we service all nationalities. We are a full nail and hair salon. Booth space available. Call 317-362-0323 for more info.
So my next question is about postpartum depression. I think that sometimes in our community we're not educated or we don't know. I actually had postpartum depression with my eldest child, but when it came to her, I was prepared for the steps on what to take so that I wouldn't, fall into that trap in my mind. What do you think could help other women, or what ways that they could notice that maybe that might be something that I might need to go get some help for?
Sure. So I think just like with breastfeeding, preventative or prevention care is important. So along with birth and breastfeeding classes, is understanding what postpartum depression looks like. Because all moms go through baby blues. Your hormones are out of whack. They're up, they're down, they're sideways, and you just don't know how you feel at any given moment sometimes. But postpartum depression sometimes is the next level. It could be more separation. I don't want to hold the baby. I don't want to be close. Crying all of the time, excessively. There's different signs that kind of distinguish baby blues from postpartum depression. So I think if you have people in your village, a good friend, your partner, your spouse, whoever that can understand and notice those signs and be aware of what they are, I think it kind of helps to put the action in place of the next steps. How do we get past this? How do we get over this hump? So I think definitely being preventative as much as possible. And then creating that village, tapping into the resources. I think sometimes we think that, well, I don't want to ask her too many questions, or I don't want to, put a burden on someone. But I think we have resources and people in the community that are willing to be that advocate and be that village. So really reaching out to that person and say, hey, I am really having a hard time. And being okay to admit that, because I think as moms, when we get pregnant, we feel like I have to do it all. I have to figure it out. I'm a mom and this is just what I have to do, when that's not true. I still struggle with that sometimes, asking for help, because I just figure I have to figure it out. But at times we have to be okay to say, I'm having a really hard time and I'm struggling with this. Or like I said, someone else in that village can say, hey, Ryan, Ambrielle is really having a hard time. Can you reach out to her and help her? So just, again, being aware of what it looks like and trying to have resources and creating a village, or having someone to help create a village for you alongside you, is very helpful.
Yes.
So, speaking of village and support, what exactly is the Black Breastfeeding Coalition, and what do you all do as far as village and support?
The Indiana Black Breastfeeding Coalition is an organization that was started by Terry Jo Curtis in 2007.
Yes.
I was going to say 2011, but I'm like, no, I had my babies by then.
Yes.
It was in 2007. And the reason that she started the organization was for the reasons that we've always mentioned about breastfeeding within the Black community. There are a lot of women who did breastfeed and they just don't talk about it. And so she wanted to give a safe space for Black women to be able to come together, seek support from sisters, and be support to sisters. And so the organization has been around since that time and is thriving and doing well and growing. We have served hundreds of women. We have helped hundreds of babies get, mama's milk. And it's really an integral part of the city because especially when we talk about wanting to reduce infant mortality and reduce maternal mortality, breastfeeding is certainly one of the key factors to doing that.
Yep. And I would just add, again, it's just a part of that village. I know that I have been, they have a bosom buddy program where a mom can come take a breastfeeding class and then link up with either just a breastfeeding advocate, someone who's very passionate about breastfeeding. They can hook up with someone who maybe has a credential or in the lactation field. And I know I have a good friend from being a bosom buddy. Someone else was her bosom buddy, and she was having some issues, and that person escalated her to me. And through that, we just became really good friends. Excuse me. And I think that it helped her through her postpartum depression. It helped her through, because she had experienced loss like a year and a half previous to that was very traumatic to her. So having someone else in her corner to not only help her with breastfeeding, but just to help her talk through just different emotions she was having. So I think, the Black Breastfeeding Coalition provides that as well, provides that extra extension of your village that either you have or maybe you don't have. And so it's just a really valuable resource.
I agree.
And where can our viewers get information on the Black Breastfeeding Coalition? Where can they go? How can they contact you, reach you, or anything like that?
Yeah, so really, we're very Googleable, very searchable. You can Google Indiana Black Breastfeeding Coalition and all the resources and information pop up in terms of the classes. There's, breastfeeding classes every third Saturday of the month. There is breastfeeding support group at that time as well. We meet every second Monday. So if you would like to become a member, to be a support, to be the village for somebody else, you can come and join every second Monday. of the month. So all the information is online. So if you want to call or you want access to a bosom buddy, register for a class, you can just Google Indiana Black Breastfeeding Coalition.
So Black Breastfeeding Week officially is at the end of the month, August 25th through August 31st. And so there are events that are going on in the city of Indianapolis. So on Tuesday, August 27th, there is a wellness event around chiropractic care for your children and adults, and prenatally how important that can be because things get misaligned and everything's been shifting. So that will be a wellness event on August 27th at 6:30 p.m. at Sacred Spines Chiropractic. On Wednesday, August 28th, there will be a chocolate milk movie screening hosted by the Indiana Breastfeeding Coalition. That will take place at Studio Movie Grill. And that information, the chocolate movie milk screening can be found on Indiana Breastfeeding Coalition's page. The event on Tuesday can be found at Black Mama Vegan on Facebook or Sacred Spines Chiropractic. And then on Thursday, there is just a celebration of breastfeeding that is taking place at Whole Holistic Soul, and that is located in Broad Ripple, and that event can also be found on Black Mama Vegan's page. So just some events in the city to talk about breastfeeding, to talk about care. And the fashion show, Indiana Black Breastfeeding. Yes, Indiana Black Breastfeeding Coalition is hosting their fashion show on Saturday, August 31st from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., and that is at Faye Bacart Glick. That can be found on their page as well. And so just lots of different events. The theme is Imagine, Innovate, and Liberate. And so I think this year, just with the events, we're trying to imagine what can be for Black breastfeeding. We're trying to innovate something new. What can we do to keep moms on top of things in our village on things as far as breastfeeding, and then liberate the freedom to do it, the freedom to breastfeed wherever, and to just have that confidence in your ability to nurture your baby. So please go to those different pages or websites to find the information for Black Breastfeeding Week and come and join us and help celebrate.
Yes. Awesome. I just want to say thank you, Indiana, for tuning in, and thank you, Tamika, for being a great daughter that I was able to breastfeed for 2 years and 3 months thanks to these ladies. It's much appreciated. I just want to tell you thank you because this means so much, just having this moment and this time and just actually seeing results.
Yes.
I appreciate you all, and you guys join us this August 25th through the 31st.
So let's kind of talk about the filming and producing and different things like that. Yes. I know in high school, and in middle school, you had the dreams, but when did you know that it was becoming serious for you to get into the film and become an actress?
Well, for me, to be honest with you, I've always been a hustler. Matter of fact, I wrote a book about it. Okay. Every Day I'm Hustling. Available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. Get your copy. Available on paperback. Okay, but I was waiting on tables. To be honest with you, I was struggling. Artist, not struggling, but I've always been a kind of person that I didn't want anybody else to finance my dreams. So I was working at LA Pasta and Pizza, and then I had got my first job as an actress on the soap opera Generations. Okay. But I only worked a couple of days because when you first start on a soap opera, until your character picks up, you don't get to work 5 days a week. Yeah. So I worked on the weekends, and on the weekends, back then I was making $400 in tips. So back then that was a lot of money. That was like 20 years ago. Yeah, and it was. So things was a lot cheaper. Right. A lot cheaper. So for me, until they picked up my storyline, I was like, why should I stop working? And it wasn't until one day that someone I was waiting on, I was just like, yo, you want pepperoni with that? Yo, you want a drink with that? What's up? And she looked up at me and she said, aren't you on a soap opera? And I was like, yes, as a matter of fact, I'm on Generation. She's like, yeah, you're Maya. I was telling my girlfriend, and I remember walking away from them and going, okay, you got to get serious. You can't do that. And so for me, masters, that was for me. It was time for me to totally dedicate myself to being an actress and to just, hey, go and explore other opportunities. I could do commercials and stuff. But as far as waiting on tables, it was like that was the end of that.
Yeah.
And it was time for me to focus on building a career as an actress. You know, my daddy had an old saying that once a chapter's over, put a period on it and turn the page. And that was when I was able to turn the page.
There we go.
How you doing, Indianapolis? I'm Joseph Barr, certified barber at Executive Cuts 2. Stop in today and receive a variety of barber cuts. I service men, women, and children. Base prices is $20, $15 for women, and $10 for kids. I'm also running specials on Tuesdays for $10 cuts. Stop in and see me at 2510 North Arlington, or you can contact me on my Facebook page, Joseph Hercules Bars, or my Instagram page, jniles_27. I hope to see you soon.
During the last 5 years, National Heritage Academies ranked in the top 25% of U.S. schools for academic growth.
I'm learning a lot.
We want you to have academic success, but we want you to have emotional success.
They teach me to be a good person.
My children feel very safe.
That's why 92% of our parents recommend us.
We are in the business of producing excellent human beings. That's our legacy to the world.
Beach Grove Bible Church. Beach Grove Bible Church. Beach Grove Bible Church. Beach Grove Bible Church.
I just got the best deal on my new guitar at Sam Ash.
I always get advice I can trust.
I got it in time for my gig.
The coolest selection of music and sound gear, always at the guaranteed lowest prices. Sam Ash, the real deal. Get 0 interest financing for 24 months with your Sam Ash credit card.
Hi, Charlotte Salone, the Hair Oracle. Visit thehairoracle.com for healthy tips and hair advice. Connect with us. Allow us to empower, inspire, and serve you.
Indianapolis, you spoke and we listened. Tune in to Insight Sundays on WHMB 40 at 5 p.m. as we give you more social issues and relevant news.
Also, tune in every third Sunday where we'll be educating on health and beauty with Mommy and me, and also doing makeovers.
So tune in to Insight Sundays November 4th on WHMB 40 at 5 p.m. Check your local listing for your TV programming. And from Insight Sundays, God bless you and your family.